Hello, good morning, good evening, or good afternoon. This is S-Carr Shy again with another educational video about electrical contracting or electrical service work. This particular video is going to be for underground service and overhead service changeouts, upgrades. So if you're thinking of swapping out a 100 amp panel to a 200 amp panel or 150 to a 200 amp panel, if you have a customer who is upgrading the service because they need EV chargers or solar panels and just don't have the breaker space, then you have to upgrade the panel or upgrade the service. Sometimes you cannot just put a sub panel in because you still don't have the ampacity coming from the utility company coming into your main breaker to support the new load. So because of that reason, you're going to be faced to doing a service upgrade and increasing the service from that 100 amp or that 75 amp or even that 150 amp service up to a 200 amp service. So check this video out. If you have any questions, just type them below. I'll respond back as fast as I see them. And thanks again for watching my video. Thanks again for joining my channel. Okay, first we're going to start talking about the underground services. Most of the time, underground services are by far the easiest service to swap out. You will see most of the time the green transformer in your yard or your neighbor yard across the street with the conduit that'll go in the ground into your meter base. This particular one here was a little hard because we had to beat the stucco up. There's flanges behind the stucco, so we had to chip the stucco out about an inch all the way around on all four sides to get that meter base out of the wall. You can use NEC Article 250 to give you all the specs you need on the type of grounding to go with and your ground rods. 250.24 will be your ground rod requirements, and 250.66 will be the size of your electro rod conductors. Here you see us sizing this panel up to get the proper height on it, so we're marking the wall and we're getting ready to get some supports together to mount this heavy baby to the wall. And NEC Article 215 is your minimum rating and size for your branch circuits. So with a lot of what you will find, a lot of customers will hire a handyman or a cheap person to come in and fix a circuit, and a lot of times they will swap out a 15 amp circuit and put in a 30 amp circuit, but it's not on the proper size wire. So you can't go back with what you see. You have to know which wire and which breaker to put on which wire. Here you see us fighting this pipe, trying to get it out of the wall. We should have went with the recessed panel, but we went with a surface mount, and because we already have the customer's power off, we don't have the time to run back to the store and get a new panel. So we're gonna get this pipe out of the wall and make it work. So therefore we have a PVC heater, we heating up pipe, and we bending our pipe ourselves to get it out the wall into this panel. From there, we wrapping things up, ground and burying the ground wire, closing everything off. The inspector has been by, okayed everything, and that's it. Moving over to the overhead service. Talking about overhead service, you always see a transformer somewhere in the front of your house and your neighbor house down the street that's above head. From that transformer, it'll be a wire crossing your yard and then attaching to your house with an eye bolt. From there, I build my service with red head anchors, so that way it's supported strong. Never ever use the plastic anchors because the plastic anchors will pull out the wall the second something fall on your wire. So use your red heads. Article 230.40 and 230.66 would be the type of wire you would need for your conductor, as well as your service equipment enclosures. So use those articles. They will be very helpful for you. As you can see on this picture now, I'm making out my wire for my service drop. I'm cutting the extra wire off, and I'm putting my ladder back on the truck, and I'm gonna move forward and start working on getting the load side of this disconnect into the house, into the breaker panel. So right now what you see me doing is busting through the concrete to get the wire under the crawl space. Once I get this block busted out, I'm gonna pipe down from the bottom of this panel. I'm gonna go through the crawl space up into the breaker panel and to the customer's home. And once you get that wire into the breaker panel, you go ahead and get your grounding done, bury your ground wire, land it into the panel. You have to use a torque wrench to make sure that all of your wires are torqued down to the proper specs. I also have a code reference for that. When your wire coming into the panel, all your aluminum wire would need some type of no-loss or antioxidant paste. Article 110.14D talk about your torque specifications. So a lot of inspectors will require you to have your torque wrench on site so they can know that all your bolts are torqued down. From there, back on the ground, I went back and I sleeved my ground wire and got it into the panel, and that's pretty much it, and it's ready for inspection.